Hello, friends. Welcome to the live stream. How are we doing? Can you all hear me? Have I successfully rotated the PDF? How's the music, chat? Let me know where the levels are at. There's a moth in my room. Shoo! Stop eating my sweaters. Hello, 400 people. How is everybody? We all doing well? We all having fun? Hey! PDF has been rotated. PDF has been expertly rotated this time. Well, hey. How are we all doing? Welcome along. As usual, double extra special welcome to you, Moth. No, you're not welcome. You're not welcome on my stream. No, go away. Stop eating my carpet. Ah! Hang on a second. Gotcha. Gross. What was I saying? Oh yeah, welcome. Extra double special welcome to you if it's your first time on the stream. Welcome. Hi. How are we doing? Hello. We love it when the chat is a cool place. Sorry, I had vegan stir fry for dinner. We love it when the chat is a chill place, so please keep the chat cool. We like to have a bit of music lo-fi, so we should be able to hear some cheap beats, some chill beats. So I tried to say like chill and hip at the same time as a cheap. They're not cheap. June Burney made this song. It's really good. So yeah, Moth has been banned from the chat. I banned the Moth from the chat. Welcome along. Yeah, we like to keep it chill. We like to have a little bit of chill music. Oh, what else? Oh, what's the thing I'm forgetting? Oh yeah, we always like to start by lighting a candle. Yeah, music a little louder? Okay. It's not on a bit with a beat at the moment, so it'll kick back in a second, don't worry.
That's weird. I'm not sure what this is.
Yeah. We like to have a scented candle. We're still on fluffy towels. That's tonight's scent. I guess. There we go. Fire. Ooh, it's good. It's good lighting. My eyes are really small. Oh no, let's not put the hot thing on top of the preamp. That's a bad idea. Okie dokie. Are we forgetting something? I don't think so. Anyway, welcome along. We like to talk about the last video that I made, and we'll go through how I made it, and like why, and like what I thought about it, and like what the feedback to it was. Yeah. Oh, and also you will see at the bottom of the screen. Normally, people throughout the stream are able to super chat me. It's always lovely when they do, but tonight, instead of doing that, please can you send your donations to the Black Protest Legal Fund. They are a group here in the UK who provide free legal advice and representation to Black Lives Matter protesters who get arrested, which several of them have been. So, if you would like to donate to getting some protesters out of prison in my country, last time we did a stream, we did an American group. This time we do a UK one. I thought we might, swap back and forth. So if you have any donations, please do send them to the Black Protest Legal Fund. There is a link in the doobly-doo, and there is a pinned message in the chat. I don't know what that looked like for you. In my streaming software, that was perfect. Candles in the back. Thank you, Jordan Gilbert. That's what I was forgetting. Whoop. I always forget these. It's because it's still light, and I just forget. Got it, nailed it. I should really have done this before you arrived. Oh. Oh, one more. Ah, there we go. There we go. All candles are burning. Well done, Arias, alright, for that joke. Okie dokie Loki. Oh. Let's look at an anti-Semitism video that I made by me. Yeah, let's do it then. What did I think of this video? In general, I was pretty pleased with it. I was really, really happy. Sorry, I've just got my file of notes here. I'm moving these around. So yeah, in general, I was pretty pleased with it. Really pleased with it, in fact. I think it came together quite well. I also got a lot of messages from Jewish people who were like very grateful that I talked about this topic, which is lovely. It's always nice to get like in public education, when people say that they find it useful, that's always a really nice moment. I feel like no one had really like made this video yet. Like there wasn't like the video essay on anti-Semitism, like nobody had made it yet, and so I'm glad I got to like plant a flag on that. It's always a satisfying. No, I wish there was a less colonial metaphor for planting a flag, but like I'm glad I made it is the point. I'm glad I made it. I'm happy and it came together well. There are some criticisms of it though that came from people, and some of which I had myself. Not just in the comments, some of which I can show you, but also there was a lovely and very, very thoughtful open letter that I think 3 or 4 Jewish people wrote to me as well, which was really, really nice. So why don't we go through some of the comments now? Where is my collection of comments? Boop, bing. Rotating PDF. Here we go. There it is. Nice. Oh yeah, so this was just a lovely person who was very, very grateful. So thank you to the Bear Pelt for that. Really, really kind of you to say. So one of the first notes to self that other people picked up on as well was, why not talk about religion a little bit more? Like, why not talk about the history of like Christian anti-Semitism, and like in particular like the killing of Jesus stuff, kind of a big part of it. And yeah, definitely, I think that's a really good point. That's something I wish I had mentioned. I guess like it's oversight on my part, because I mean religion just plays so little role in my day-to-day life, even though I was like reading about the history of it, and even though a lot of the sources I mentioned like talked about it, it like the religious side of it just doesn't really like play a much as big a role for me. And a lot of the kind of, so whenever I do bibliography, I don't, some texts like inform more of the video than others, and the sort of 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the massive bibliography that formed the kind of bulk of the points I was making all emphasized the white supremacy stuff. So yeah, that was why, I guess. But definitely like would have been really good to like at least mention that. Would have been like, yeah, definitely would have improved the video to say that. That's cool. Oh, some people, the one, I won't show you them, but somebody on Twitter was really, really angry that I said anti-Semites, Judaism, and Dreyfus, as opposed to anti-Semites, Judaism, and I don't know what the other pronunciation of Dreyfus would be. So the reason I say anti-Semites and Judaism is because I'm from the north, and that is genuinely how we say it. Like, that's just my accent, mate. That's how we fucking talk. Have you got a problem with it? Like, yeah, that's how we roll, man. That's how we roll in the north. So that's that's how we say it. Sorry. I'm not gonna stop. I say bath as well. I say bath and grass. Like, yeah. Also, a lot of people got in touch to kind of argue the toss, or like left comments arguing the toss about whether Hannah Arendt or Dreyfus. Nah. Dreyfus, mate. It's Dreyfus. Alfred Dreyfus. He was from Biker. A lot of people got in touch to talk, like, argue the toss about whether Marx or Arendt were personally anti-Semites. Somebody sent me articles. Apparently, there's a tradition of like reading that essay on the Jewish question as like him trolling, as like him just like posting content online, which like, yeah, maybe. But I spent like the first half an hour of the video explaining why I don't think it's productive to argue the toss about whether this or that person is personally an anti-Semite. So I'm not really that bothered about whether Marx is an anti-Semite in his heart. I mean, he's dead, and so is Arendt. So, yeah. I mean, cool. I'm not sure it's like a really productive use of my time to argue the toss about them. Speaking of uses of time, could it have been good to talk about the history of Israel a little bit more, and like particularly in more detail? Yeah, definitely. I think that's a fair point. One thing that I do wish I'd mentioned, that I should have mentioned, is that like a lot of people view what some people call Israel now as like a historic homeland for Jewish people, and that's quite an important part of Zionism as an idea. Like, that would have been worth mentioning. They didn't just like throw a dart at a map in the 1930s and be like, cool, we'll go there. Like, it's for thousands of years people have viewed that area as like a potential homeland for the Jews. So that's fair. That would have been good to mention, definitely. I will say that the point of that section wasn't to give a detailed history. Giving like a detailed history of the conflict. Sorry, I've got an itchy whatever this bit is. Face. That's that bit. What actors call the face, technical term. So the point of this section wasn't to give a detailed history. It was to give a general outline of how two people could respectfully disagree about the topic of Zionism. Like, it's kind of like a general thing. Like, this is how this like a sketch of these two positions, rather than here's the detailed history. You see what I mean? So whilst there is definitely some detail that would have been good, I do think that section achieved its purpose, and I'm kind of reasonably pleased with it. Because detailed history wasn't what I was trying to do in this video. But with that said, there are still like historical things that would have been good to mention as well. Speaking of historical things that would have been good to mention, so I said the Dominican Republic accepted Jews after the Evian conference, Buen trabajo muchachos. Apparently the reason they did that was because the dictator of the Dominican Republic wanted to whiten the island. Yikes. Thank you to the people who messaged me that, including the people from the Dominican Republic. Thanks for letting me know that. That would have been good to know. I'm not sure if I'd have done anything different, apart from like maybe put an asterisk at the bottom of the screen. But like, thank you for letting me know. Anyway, it's cool. Interesting bit of history. What else do we have? Oh yeah, this is a good. There was like a few people who made this criticism in various ways, which I think is a good one. That the video is quite Eurocentric. So I talk a lot about anti-Semitism through the lens of white supremacy, but I don't, for instance, like mention Muslim anti-Semitism. I don't talk a lot about like anti-Semitism in ways that like aren't or like that isn't from or to the benefit of white people. So the video is quite Eurocentric, and I think that's true, not just geographically but like historically as well. So I start talking about the Dreyfus affair, and even though I make it very, very clear that is not the beginning of anti-Semitism, because later on I go on to talk about the medieval era, it is a kind of like a Western Europe-centric video, and I think that's or like, you know, Western European Anglosphere, I guess. I think that's a fair criticism. I think that's a fair point about not just this video, but like a lot of the videos I make, that they are quite Eurocentric. That reflects my education and my upbringing, and also the way that philosophy is taught. But I think that's a fair point. Definitely, like it would have been. This is something again that got mentioned in the open letter. Like I think that's a fair criticism. One of my major sources, David Nirenberg, in his book Anti-Judaism, he talks about like 2,000 years of anti-Semitism from like ancient Egypt on. Even that's quite like Western European centric, but it has like a broader what's the word? Focus. That's the word I'm looking for. Filtrum. Okay, thanks. Silver Olivian says, "What? Why did you decide not to bring up The Merchant of Venice?" Time, mainly. David Nirenberg has a chapter on Shakespeare in The Merchant of Venice, which is really good and really interesting. But I mean, I felt like, I felt that the video was already really long. It didn't really fit in with the rest of what I wanted to. Like, I wanted to touch on white supremacy because it's kind of like relevant to the society in which I live. And, you know, given world events, I'm glad I made the video that way. It turned out to have been timely. So, yeah, I didn't mention Merchant of Venice for time. I also feel like, you know, it's what people expect. I mean, it's like, oh, Philosophy Tube's doing a video on anti-Semitism. I bet it's going to mention Merchant of Venice because, like, Shakespeare. So, like, it was too obvious. It was too obvious. The most obvious thing to do would have been to come out in Shakespearean costume and do, like, a little bit of Antonio or a bit of Bassanio or even a bit of Shylock. And it was like, this is too obvious. This is too obvious. I don't want to do that. I want to do something. I want to do the thing that people don't expect. That's the kind of video I like making. So, yeah. I did find that chapter of Nirenberg interesting just for myself, though. Something else I wanted to mention was that, as always, when I talk in a foreign language or do a foreign accent, I get an equal number of people praising it and dissing it all the time. So, like, I got an equal number of people saying your French is really good, and people saying, "Quoi le fuck is this?" Like, get out. Interestingly, a lot of people from Quebec were like, your French is really good. And a lot of people from France were like, "Non, monsieur." Oh no. Now we must avoir un riot. So, yeah, that was interesting. And same with Australian. Some people in Australia were like, top accent, right? And then others were like, no, get out. So that was interesting. I know that it goes a little Kiwi at some points. That's just because I spent a lot of time in New Zealand. Like I lived in New Zealand for a couple of months a few summers ago, and like worked there. So that's my Antipodean. My accent goes there. Yeah. So. Yeah. That's always fun. But hey, big shout out to Brian Slack, who was the only person who realized that I was doing an homage to The Hunt for Red October. Yes, well done, Brian. Well done, you got it. For those of you who haven't seen The Hunt for Red October, it's a film about a Russian submarine, but there's an amazing shot in it. It's so good, where they're all speaking in Russian with subtitles, and it's the bit where it's a shot that changed it to English, where there's a Russian guy reading from the Bible, from the Book of Revelation, because it's like, you know, nuclear war, nuclear weapons, you know, the end of the world, and he's reading from the Bible in Russian, and the camera zooms in, and it keeps zooming in and zooming in and zooming in and zooming in, and it goes all the way to his lips, uncut, goes right into his lips, right close. And then the actor switches speaking from Russian to English. He's a bilingual actor. And he changes, and he starts reading. It's like, and then I saw the beast with 7 heads, and he starts speaking in English, and it goes all the way back out again. And from then on, all the dialogue's in English. And it's so, so good. It's such It's such a clever shot. I love it. And this is a weird niche interest, but I'm interested. I always like seeing how films do translation shots. So there's a bit in Judgment at Nirenberg where it's a courtroom drama, and then the characters are speaking in German, and we, the camera, there's like an official translator who's like behind a pane of glass in the courtroom, and the actor is in the background speaking in German, and we hear the translator saying the English words, and the camera comes up on a crane, and then the glass pane doesn't go all the way up to the ceiling, it only goes like a few feet above the translator, and then when the camera gets over the top of the glass, the actor switches from German to English. Like, doesn't miss a beat. It's like totally like mid-sentence, just does it. And it's so good. It's so powerful. I love that moment. It's just it's so nuts. And it's such it's so satisfying as an actor to like see a fellow actor doing something like that. It's just the timing of it and the skill of it, and just be like, oh shit, like he's bilingual. Like, it's just really cool. It's just really cool. So I was doing an homage to that. My shot doesn't include. I don't switch languages in the same unbroken shot. I very deliberately cross-faded it because I wanted you to have the audio of one and the audio of the other fading. I wanted you to have the French audio fading out as the sound of the projector faded out as well. So mine does a cross dissolve. But that was what I was doing. I was doing a Hunt for Red October shout out. So this concludes the very detailed film nerd bit of the live stream. What else did we have? Oh yeah. Giffica left a really, really interesting comment saying that all of the philosophy I discussed went against rabbinic philosophy, which is like really, really interesting. And they even insulted me, called me an ignoramus. That's hurtful. You don't need to say that. But I was just interested. I really wish Giffica had said more, because that sounds interesting. The sources that I drew on for the video were almost all Jewish. All of my script consultants were Jewish. So I mean, if I'm really interested to know, is there some alternate strand of philosophy that I've totally missed here, which you say, Giffica, contradicts everything I've said, which would be really interesting. I wish they'd said more and not just insulted me, but there you go. Maybe there's more out there. What else? What window am I in? Oh yeah. So something else that the open letter brought up was that there's no definition of anti-Semitism in the video. So there's this thing that a lot of philosophy essays do, and a lot of video essays do actually, where like at the top you define your terms, right? You say, and the classic, you'll have seen video essays do this here. But before we can talk about X, we first have to ask, what do we mean by X? And then you put the definition, you put the dictionary definition on the screen with white text and a black background, and then you talk about the history of the word. You go, originally X was coined in the 17th century and it was used in, and it's like blah 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 blah, right? In 7 years of YouTube, and in a lot longer, many more years of philosophy, I've never found that to be a useful way to teach. I think it immediately sets people up to be confused, because people will come. Nobody comes to a topic with no idea what it is, especially on YouTube, right? People think they know what it is. They come in with their own ideas, and I think if you put up a definition at the start of the video that doesn't include all of the ideas they already came to it with, they will immediately look at everything else you do like askew. They'll immediately be like, why isn't this missing? And then they don't listen. Or they'll go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and they shut it off, right? So I find it a lot more helpful to just let people drift in from where they are, just like as an educational tactic. I also think that like it's this is not important. This is just like an aesthetic criticism. I find it really boring. I find it really boring when a video essayist says, "But first, we need to define what," and I'm like, "Oh god, like it's a video essay. It's not a lecture. Like hook me, thrill me, make me care about it. Like make me curious or show me why you're curious. Like give me something to like get into." That's why my video opened with a story. Like it's the story of the Dreyfus Affair. It's a drama that illustrates illustrates how anti-Semitism is part of a bigger picture, which is like what I wanted. That was the take home I wanted people to get, right? So like I take quite a Wittgensteinian approach. I did it with the transphobia video. I did it with queer theory, like meaning, and I take the approach that like meaning is use. Like philosophy is a tool. I don't need to know who invented hammers or where the word hammer comes from. Like I want to learn how do I build something beautiful with it, right? So I was much more concerned about what anti-Semitism does, and I did, at the request of my script consultants, have a bit at the start where I was like just a quick rundown of like some tropes to look out for that would be incorporated in what philosophers would call a cluster definition of anti-Semitism. So that's what I call anti-Semitism bit was about. But if the first 5 minutes of the video are me reading out the American Jewish Council's glossary of anti-Semitic terms, it wouldn't have been a good video, in my opinion. I mean, I cited that glossary explicitly on the screen, even included pictures of it. I provided a free link to it, but I don't think it's like educationally or artistically useful to have that kind of approach to it. Yeah, it was just like just as in my experience as an educator and as an artist, I'm happy with that bit. I think it works. But yeah. That said, philosemitism would definitely have been good to discuss. That would have been like, yeah. Again, there's more things I could have said. I was very conscious of time. But that would definitely have been a good thing to bring up. That's a fair point. It's interesting actually with the time question, because there is definitely more I could say or could have said. But with a video essay, I've got to sort of do a bit of a balancing act. So the longer you make it, the shorter the average watch time is. So I kind of need to. I sort of need to balance, like, do I make an hour-long video that people will, on average, watch 12 minutes of? Or do I make a 90-minute video that people will, on average, watch, like, 5 minutes of? So I'm like, well, they'll be able to get more in if they will learn more, and I'll have more chances to hook them and keep them around for longer and see the rest of it if I've got, like, a solid 12 minutes. So that's the kind of calculation I've got to make. But, yeah, fair enough. Where's my music gone? Yeah, there we go. Here's another interesting point from the open letter. The authors questioned whether I, as a Gentile, should have been talking about this. So I definitely think it would have been good to up top say that like I'm not Jewish. Here are some, like there are links to Jewish people and their expertise down below. Kind of like I did at the start of the transphobia video and the sex work video. Like it might, I think that's definitely implicit, but it would have been good to explicitly say that up top. Say, look, these are the real experts here. As I say, I think that's like pretty implicit, but wouldn't have hurt to say it. However, though, I think the idea that I shouldn't be using my platform to speak up about this, I think I've got to disagree with that. Yeah, I'm afraid I've got to disagree there. And the majority of Jewish people who left feedback also disagreed with that, because I got a lot of messages from people saying, "Thank you, finally, someone who isn't Jewish is talking about this." this, I mean, this isn't the first time I've talked about or like passed on knowledge from communities of which I'm not a part, like my sex work video. I think the responsible way to do that is to hire script consultants and let them, like, you know, change the script, and also to, like, very thoroughly cite all of the sources, which is what I did. So yeah, I think there's a way of doing that responsibly, and I don't think it helps to say no one should ever use a platform like that. That's just me though. I don't want to give the impression that I'm like vivisecting this open letter, because it was very thoughtfully put together, and I do appreciate it. So they also had some criticisms of the tone, and I think again, I was going for a breezy tone here. Breezy was what I was going for, even in the quite serious moments. I think a breezy tone can be quite a useful pacing tool, for one thing. Because like the Israel-Palestine bit, the tone is quite breezy. We're keeping it up, we're keeping it up. And that's because the history stuff isn't the point there. And then the performance drops down a level when we get to the actual point, which is that we can have a discussion without dehumanizing people, and then we drop down another level when it gets to here's the warning, don't let people smuggle anti-Semitism in there. So it's like a good, like, maintaining a light tone and maintaining having bits that are denser with like educational content and bits that are like more jokey and light, I think is a useful pacing tool. It's also a good way for highlighting which information is important, because again, the history stuff isn't the point there. There's even that joke about, like, it's a wonder I'm not invited to teach more history classes. Like, that is a funny joke, but it's also a deliberate indication that, like, this stuff is not detailed, this is not the point, this is background. It's not a substitute for a history lesson. So I do think that, like, keeping a breezy tone is a useful educational tactic, and again, it keeps people engaged, it keeps people around. I mean, I definitely think there are some topics that it would be, like, inappropriate to be breezy about. Like, you know, you can be breezy and you can be callous. I don't think I managed that. I don't feel like I was callous, and certainly nobody said, you know, this is callous or you're making fun of human suffering here. I certainly hope not. If I have done, then I hope people will let me know. Interestingly, of the 3 Jewish script consultants I hired, one is a comic, one is a comic, and 2 are writers. So I wanted people who would challenge me not only on content but also on pacing and tone. And I'm quite proud of the script that we created. I was actually slightly confused by this part of the open letter, because they say we felt parts were engaged. We felt the parts that were neutral and direct to camera were engaging, but the whole thing was direct to camera, and none of it was neutral. So I'm not quite sure what I mean. Like, none of that was neutral. Even the bits I shot in my bedroom, that's not neutral. That's just a different kind of performance. Like, all the stuff I do, none of it is ever neutral. It's all performed. Like, even this that I'm doing, this live stream now, is performance. I rehearsed all of this before I clicked go live, including this bit right now. I planned this. I have notes down here. These live streams were always semi-improvised, so there is no neutral. So I'm not quite sure what that means, but hey. I will say that one really good and very hard-hitting point that this open letter made was that the video could be used by people, like, as an excuse to absolve themselves. They could be like, oh, you know, I watched the Philosophy Tube video on anti-Semitism, so, like, I'm good. I don't need to think about it anymore. I think that's definitely that's a real possibility. That's a possibility with all of my videos, and it's something that I worry about. Like, are people really learning, or do they just want to think of themselves as learned? And I think once or maybe even twice in this video I explicitly highlight that as a risk, especially for leftists, but it is still a risk. I do tend to get a lot of feedback from people when I make videos saying that I've like changed their minds or that I've sparked interesting conversations with people in their lives. There was at least one person on the subreddit said, "Oh wow, you've like really given me a lot to think about here," which is great. But I also I know that there's a certain percentage of my audience who watch to feel good about themselves. I mean, the same way people watched Last Week Tonight. You know, yes, it's a kind of social education and it's a clarification of values, but also a lot of people watch it because they find it fun. And I think it can be both, and I think that can be okay. It's just something I kind of try and stay curious about. And I also try and often deliberately make videos which challenge my audience, and which don't just like give people what they want, but are deliberately like unexpected and different, and often like quite provoking. I try to. So yeah. Oh, I do definitely want to say that. So if you're just joining us, this open letter was written by 3 or 4 Jewish people who sent it to me. I'm like really grateful that they sent that. Like, I think it's really good. I mean, as much as I've like gone through it and said where I agree and where I disagree. Yeah, I'm really grateful to you for writing it. That's really kind. Thank you. And I also want to say, like, as somebody who gets a lot of destructive criticism, somebody who gets a lot of like very, very vicious, ridiculous criticism, it was really refreshing to get something that you'd clearly like put a lot of care and thought into. That was like, as far as internet comments go, I think you've won. Like, that was really good. Thank you very, very much to it. There's a link to it posted on the PhilosophyTube subreddit if you wanna check it out. One thing I would just like to say though, somebody posted on the PhilosophyTube subreddit, and I was a little disappointed at the reaction of some of the people on the subreddit. There were people who really like vivisected this letter and like said, you know, this is absurd, this is ridiculous, this is nitpicking, and I think some of the responses on the subreddit came off as combative, which is a shame. I mean, I appreciate it when people read my work charitably, but you know, if you're on the PhilosophyTube subreddit, let's remember curiosity, not ambition. I'd appreciate it if people would just chill. I don't necessarily need people to leap in aggressively to defend me. I thought this letter was good and helpful, and when people do criticize me, as they do, please do just like criticize. Please just, you know, be cool. I don't like competitive discussions. I don't find them useful, so let's just be chill. I think the authors of that letter really put a lot of work and thought into it, and I can imagine that if they'd sat around and read some of the things that people wrote in the PhilosophyTube subreddit, they'd be quite anxious and hurt by that. So in future, let's keep that in mind, I think. We don't need to own each other with facts and logic. Like, let's all just be cool. Mommy says, play nice. Although, I also want to say thank you to the moderators of the PhilosophyTube subreddit who have been having a bit of a time under a video about anti-Semitism. Thank you very, very much for doing that. I've got a couple of... I've got 2 or 3 more things to say before we move on to like patron questions and fan art. But first, I have to pee. So, why don't I will go pee. I'll be back in like... Thank you very much, Gene Sargent, for that super chat, and thank you for donating as well to the Black Protest Legal Fund. I will go and pee. I'll be back in... Well, actually, because you're on a delay, I will be back by the time you realise I've said this. And we're back. Where's my... Oh, we've just had another super chat. Thank you, Roderico, for that super chat. I hope you didn't miss my message down here. It's very generous of you, but please also send your donations to the Black Protest Legal Fund. That's where they belong. So I'm back. Did you miss me? Okay. How's the music? All good? Nice? Yes? Good? Wonderful. Hasty toilet. Well done, Megan Hammer. It's an old meme, but it checks out. Okie dokie. Let's change up the let's just go back to the chill vibes. Okay, so I had a few more points. So at one point I cited a writer called Sophie Elman Golan. I can actually show you the bit that I cited her in. It was towards the end of part 2. Yeah, what a freeze frame. Oh, it was here. So I cited Sophie Elman Golan, and I talk about Karl Marx's anti-Semitism and leftist anti-Semitism, and I go on to say there's a tradition of people using Judaism as a theoretical tool. And in between, there's this bit where I cite Sophie Elman Golan saying that the right wing is a lot more deadly about their anti-Semitism than the left. So you got the structure? So then later on I go on here to say people use Judaism as an intellectual tool. By doing it in that order, I created the impression that she is doing that, like she's using Judaism as an intellectual tool. And she got in touch and was like, hey, what do you mean by that? And I was like, oh shit, that's not what I meant. Like, that was just clumsy editing on my part. I should have taken that little bit about the right wing being more deadly and put it like somewhere else, like before maybe. So that was just clumsy editing on my part. So I wanted to say sorry to Sophie for that. We've already chatted behind the scenes, but I just wanted to highlight in case anybody else had also read it in that way. Whilst I'm apologising for unintentional and unfortunate implications, there is a blink and you'll miss it sight gag about Karl Marx having a Twitter account, and he tweets out his essay on the Jewish question on Twitter.com, and he just gets like absolutely ratioed. And I created a little character to be one of the people replying to Karl Marx called I Post Therefore I Am, but I used a real person's photo for the Avi of I Post Therefore I Am. They're all real people. All the people on the fake Twitter account are all real people, but a real live person. I used a real live person's picture there, and in so doing, I created the implication that that real life person supports Marxist anti-Semitism. So I just want to like publicly say to Peter Coffin that I'm sorry for using their picture there. That wasn't cool. Like that was like a dumbass move. It was an unprofessional move, and I'm actually a little ashamed of myself. Like, and I could sit here and I could say like that's not what I meant to imply, or I could say that like this is what I was trying to do with it, but I don't want to be seen to be like trying to be making excuses. That was not cool. Like it was kind of like petty, and it was just like very, very clumsy and dumb, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, and I regret that. So I wanted to say, like, Peter and I have talked about it behind the scenes already, and there's like no bad blood or anything. But I also wanted to publicly say that I'm sorry here. Thank you for that super chat, Atlas Story. That's really kind of you. I'll get to that in just a second. I also wanted to publicly say that I'm sorry here. And also, if you watch my videos, please do just leave Peter alone. Please, just again, curiosity and ambition. Please just be cool. But yeah, as I say, I said sorry in private, but I also wanted to say it publicly because that's what the Postmortem live streams are for. You know, they're for self-critique, and therefore like self-analysis, and especially in a place where you can like see my face and hear my voice, as opposed to like Twitter, which is not a good place to do anything. So glad I got the opportunity to say that, and yeah, all cool. Atlas Story says, don't worry, I'm donating too. You and Nat are my favourite creators. I'm curious what made you pursue this career. I tell you what, I'm gonna copy that into my notes. I'm gonna answer it later on, but don't worry, I've got it. Oh god, some weird's gone up when I copy it in. Don't worry, I'll get to that. I'll get to that later. Atlas Story. I'm just in a bit of just in the flow here. There was one other thing I wanted to say about the video before we move on. Well, I'm actually... I got an email from a Jewish lady in Pittsburgh who is connected to the Tree of Life synagogue, where the 2018 Pittsburgh shooting took place. And her email to me was so moving. I mean, when I read it, I'd had a really, really hard day dealing with some big time personal stuff. And when I read it, I got an email because she emailed me. She said, "Look, thank you for talking about this." And she said that she felt seen and comforted by it. And when I read that, I was like, wow, you know, this is one of those moments that really makes the job worth it. Like, it made me very, very humbled to do the job that I do. So I don't know if Sharon, I don't know if you're watching, but thank you for your amazing email. And I'm so glad that the video was, yeah, that it was able to do that for you. Thanks. It means a huge amount. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. As I read that, I was just like, wow. I'm so glad that, like, yeah, just humbling, awesome stuff. I think that those are all my notes to self. But we do have some fan art to look at. Yeah. Before we do that, though, I have some questions from patrons to answer. So you might know that if people sponsor me on Patreon to a certain level, then they get to ask me questions that I will answer on the live stream. So I've got some to go through now. Ilyusha asked me, would I rather debate Jordan Peterson as the devil or Ben Shapiro as Tom Gently? I think I would rather do Tom Gently, just because, I mean, for one thing, it's an easier costume. But also, it would just be funny. It would be very funny. There'd be a lot of opportunities to, like, copy him in a very childish way, which I think I would find amusing. And I also hope I'd be able to do it in a sensitive way that would make him laugh. So I would do Ben Shapiro and Tom Gently because that's a more interesting character. And also, it would give me a chance to, like, study him and create a better impression. Smoke and Ash is a patron, and they asked me, what is your process for approaching genuine and well-intended feedback and implementing changes into your work? This is that process. Welcome to the process. Welcome to the process. This is what I do. This is I do Postmortem live streams where I learn about how different people saw it, and then I try and remember it for next time. And when I hire script consultants, I let them give me feedback too. So yeah, this is me doing that now. thank you for that super chat, Laura Arias. We already talked about that earlier on, but yes, you are quite correct. Jao or How Paulo Lopez is another patron who asked, what author or philosophical thought do you find most inspiring to keep you focusing on the right things? This is an interesting one. I think genuinely my answer might be hedonism. Genuinely. I don't mean that as like as a kind of hedonism. I mean like genuinely. It reminds me to seek what I want and to be connected to what I want. I'm somebody who, because of like my upbringing and the way I've lived my life, has always been very, very self-disciplined, and has for a long time like not really been in touch with my own desires. But learning to listen to the desire and learning to seek pleasure and being okay with that is something that's just been like quite important for me. Oh hey chat, ask me about the makeup tutorial later on. Ask me after we've done the fan art. I've got the makeup here. When we've done fan art, ask me about the makeup and we'll go through. Jonathan is another patron who asked, what's the question that you ask yourself most often? I do have one in mind, but I can't say it on stream. That probably changes month on month, I guess. When are we going to get out of lockdown? That's one. What am I going to have for dinner? Yeah. Where can I get peanut butter from? Like, these are the major questions in my life. And then earlier on, somebody super chatted and asked, what made you pursue this career as a YouTuber? I mean, when I pursued it, it wasn't a career. I've been doing YouTube 7 years. 7 years. When I started, I just started because I wanted to give away my degree for free. Like, they tripled tuition fees, and I was like, no. Bad. Education should be free. Free education. Now, please. Now. I'm going to give away my degree for free so anyone can learn it. So that's why I started. And then it just kind of became it just sort of became a career, really. Yeah, that's how I did it. But hey, now let's have a look at some fan art. Let's look. Where's it gone? Ah, this one. Oh, let me shrink it down so you can see over there, so you can see people's handles, so you can go and find the artists and give them lots of praise. And let me move myself. Oh, big shrunk. Oh no! That's very silly. Let me move myself down here so that you can see me. Shmurger, thank you for your super chat. Please remember, tonight we're not super chatting me. We're super chatting the Black Protest Legal Fund. But what's your philosophy on editing or amending content you've already published? I don't. This is why we have the Postmortem live streams instead. The work is always incomplete. The work is never finished. It is only abandoned. And that's fine. I have removed a couple of old videos I've done, mainly because I'm like, oh god, this is just totally wrong. So I don't unless I do. But this drawing from Mech Attack, I love it. I think it's amazing. It's fantastic. Like, the hair is great. The bone structure is great. Like, just big fan of this one. I love it. Where are the boots from? I got them from the internet. I don't remember where exactly. I've still got them. They're down here. They're amazing though, aren't they? Yeah, I love this drawing. It's fantastic. Very well done. Very well done to Mech Attack. Here's one from Comrade Ellie on the subreddit. That's a nice one. It's like very like old school. I like it. I like the eyes are particularly nice. Yeah, it's good. I like this one. It's kind of a very thoughtful expression. It's Very cool. An Ender Durant on the subreddit had quite a cutesy one, which I quite like. It's got kind of like almost Lilo and Stitch vibes, which I quite like. So yeah, great work there. Let me shrink this one down a bit so you can see the whole thing. How's that? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I really like this one too. It's really cutesy. It's almost got a kind of like Newgrounds vibe to it. If you spend a lot of time on Newgrounds years and years ago. Here's one from Hazook on the subreddit. That's Hazook's inadvertently drawn a picture of my mum, which is fun. Let me shrink it down again so you can see the writing there. Yeah, I really like that one. It's very, very cool. Again, just a picture of my mum. You've even got the brow highlight there. That's really nicely done. Nice detail there. And even the name of the microphone. Excellent. I really wanted to get I wanted to get like a ribbon mic, you know, one of those old-fashioned microphones. But they're like 300 quid, and I was like, I'm not getting that for a prop. And also, I don't know how good the sound quality will be. I'm not investing 300 quid in something I'm only going to use once. Oh, here's another one, also by Hazook, I think, unless I've mislabeled this, in which case I'm very sorry. But yeah, here's one by, I have it down as Hazook again. Yeah, this one's really, really nice. Wait, that's the, yeah, quite similar styles. So yeah, it could be. Thank you for that super chat, Lotus System. Yeah, the super chats do appear in a big green box, so I am almost guaranteed to see them. But again, tonight, please, the Black Protest Legal Fund, they need it. But yeah, this is a nice one from Hazook. This is cool. This one from Midnight 2718. This is really cool. This looks like it belongs on like the Steam page. Let me shrink it down so you can. It looks like this should be like the cover art for like an early access game about oops, spoilers. It looks like the cover art for an early access like crime solving game, like a what's one of those games where you walk around and you talk to people and you solve crimes, like Disco Elysium. It's one of those. This is really cool. It looks like, you know, you'd be investigating crimes in occupied France or something. I really love it. Here's one of Drivel. This is a painting. This is a freaking watercolor. Look at that. By Schlubluk on the let me scroll up so you can see their name. So you can see that on the if you find them on the subreddit. Like, this is really good. This is watercolors, and I think there's a little bit of pencil in there as well. I love it. It's great. Drivel doesn't get a whole lot of fan art. Thanks for that super chat, Gene Sargent. Yeah, really nice. Really, really nice. I like this one. The Australian flag singlet was great. And lastly, from Smoothie Booty on twitter.com, this one is just, I mean, look at that. That is, let me biggen it actually. Let me make it bigger. Yeah, it's great. Like, I don't quite have that figure, I don't think. But I do love this one. It's great. Like, the makeup is, the detail on that means I can even zoom in here. Me zoom in, enhance. Look at the detail on that. So good. Hi Smoothie Booty in the chat. I wish I could draw. That'd be so good. I kind of wish I'd done something a little more with the makeup to plump my lips. Apparently you can get white powder, and this is what Megan Fox does. You get white powder and you just like put it here and it just plumps the lips up. because my lips are like nicely coloured, but they're quite flat, so just not very femme. But yeah, this one is like so good, just brilliant. Smoothie Booty always with the good fan art. Yeah. Carrie says Mademoiselle E is dummy thick. No, she's not. I mean, not in this one. She's like a waif. She's a waif in this one. You sneeze and she'll blow away. Oh, you're right, Silver Olivia. It is like something you'd have tattooed on your thigh. Like it does look like a pin-up tattoo. Alrighty then. Oh yeah, the makeup. That's what we're going to talk about. Why don't we change up the vibe in here? This is a little. Oh yeah. Whew. That music was making me anxious for a second. Why don't we change up the vibe? Let's go from peach to purple. Purple to... no. Yeah, okay, that'll do. No. Let's take it down. Yeah, okay. Alright. Vibing. Take a little darker. Nice. And now, le pièce de résistance. Let's give this a... How about a red? Nah. What are we feeling? Like a peach? No. Nah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, alright, that'll do. Whatever. No, it won't do, it won't. I'm gonna change it again. Take me back to... Ooh. Okay, so why don't we go peach over there, and over here, we'll have a dark purple. Maybe it's just about getting the best. We'll have purple there, and we'll tone down the peach, and we'll take it. Ooh. Okay. Whatever. That's kind of nice. That'll do. What were we going to talk about? Why don't we... Let's chill out a little for the last 25 minutes, eh? How are you all doing? I can read the chat a little bit more now, and I'll talk about the makeup that I did, too. So a little bit. Birthday present from my mum and dad. Oh yeah. Where's my music gone? Makeup. So, let me find the bit of the video. Let me find a good bit of the video where you can actually see it. This is found a very silly screenshot. Woo! We'll try and get a zoomed in one. Is that? Oh god. Oof. The disadvantage of zooming in is, of course, that you can see my face more. Okay, that's a nice one. That'll do. No, it's not close enough for you to see, though, is it? I'm trying to find a good shot here so I can show you the makeup. That might have to do. Well, oh wait, hang on a minute. I can just... There we go. Nice. Okay, so here's how I did it. I'll just walk you through it. I started off just slapping a whole load of moisturizer on, just loads of it, just loads and loads of moisturizer, and then got my box of tricks here. What did I have after that? Oh yeah, I had a primer. It's just a shine control primer. Where did I get the inspiration for the makeup? Says Skippy K. I looked up I don't use Pinterest, but I made a kind of in my head Pinterest board of French, sexy French lady. I Google sexy French resistance fighter, or French resistance, and and a bunch of others. And went for a French look. I knew it needed to have wing eyes. I knew I needed quite a dark, dramatic eyeshadow, and I knew I wanted red lips, because I wanted red lips and red beret, and I wanted to do something with where you can see the black and white. I knew I wanted to do shots like this where it's black and white except for red. Oh god. Oh. Jesus Christ. Look at that chin. Whoa, Jesus. It's like a fucking barge on a face. You turn around, it's like the crimson chin. Oh, God. Oh. Anyway, what else? Oh yeah. So I had primer. What else? What came after that? Oh yeah. So I have a lot of very dark. You can see it on here. I have a lot of very dark, coarse hair, especially beard shadow. So I used some of this Cover FX peach coloured Correct Click concealer. I used a lot of this. I was like Van Gogh. I was just putting it on straight on the face. It's like a little. I've got one here that's open. I had to buy two because I really went through it. It's like a little. It's a little friend like this. Yeah, can you see that? So I literally just and I brushed it on all the a big orange block, right? And then I had liquid foundation, which I sponged on. Could have probably brushed it because there was quite a lot, and it became. You can see that it's very shiny and very sticky. That's because I used this sponge. It would have been better if I'd used a thin brush, but then that was kind of all over. That covered up a lot of the orange. And then I took a lot of tips from Steph Signati. I used a white baking powder across the eyes and the forehead and down the nose, because you make the top bit of your. I'll show you. You make the top bit of your face wider and this bit narrower, and it's feminizing. So I used a white baking powder here, and I used. Where are my highlights? Oh yeah. Then I used. Thank you, Dalton Fitzgerald, for that super chat. I used a highlight palette. I used the lighter 2 here to set some of it in a C shape. Let me get a brush on. This is a clean brush, but I was doing it in a C shape around here. Just a little bit of highlight. I want to get better at highlighting because so right now I'm actually wearing highlights here, just white highlight powder. But I sort of painted on a highlight there. And then I used a big kabuki brush and I use some mineral foundation. This is this. Just to, okay, let me turn the music down a bit. I went over with a kabuki brush and just gave everything a nice even, because the orange and then the liquid foundation are like not quite my skin tone, but then this stuff is like pretty much exactly my skin tone. So it just gave it much more of an even, just much more of an even Steven. After that, I was quite pale, so I did a bit of blush, like in a W shape. I didn't even use blush, I used red eyeshadow. But you just in a W shape just to get a little bit more of the colour back. And that was pretty much it for just the main bit of the face. Oh yeah, there was a little bit of concealer. I like to put a little bit of concealer on my eyes if I'm doing eyeshadow, because it just like gives you a bit more of a canvas to paint on. So I used a bit of a light. Let me show you that. I used a light concealer. I used this one. It's like slightly lighter than my skin tone. Again, you get light up here and it's like feminizing. So then I had like a nice blank canvas. Sorry, I'm just changing the music. Yeah. I had a nice blank canvas. So I curled my eyelashes with one of these, and then it was time to move on to the eyes. So let me zoom in here and I can show you. Oof. Oh well, it's actually good because the eyes are closed and you can see it better. So I used an eyeshadow palette. This is my eyeshadow palette, and the shade I used was Plum. I used Plum. That was quite nice, and that was cool. So there's you can see there's a lot of Plum eyeshadow on there, and so I used a little bit of Plum for the main bit of the eye, and then this is fun. Just under the brow bone, I used just white eyeshadow. This is a dirt cheap eyeshadow palette that I didn't even buy in Brighton. Somebody else bought this for me in Brighton for like £2.49. So, and it's even got one of these. It doesn't even come with a brush. It comes with one of these like weird things that looks like a cat's penis. So I used a little bit of white under the brow bone, and then I also put a highlight on the inside of each eye. You probably can't even see it in the video, but yeah, that was fun. And then you blend it all in. You do a little blend. My approach is to like completely botch it up and then blend. Just blend, and it looks great. So eyebrows. Oh wait, no, we're not done with eyes yet. Because then was eyeliner. I am shit at eyeliner. So shit. Because my hands are just like. So I used. To really get a bigger box, I used this. It's a Maybelline fine liner. I'll show you. Not Spawn, no Spawn, hashtag no Spawn. It's a Maybelline eyeliner. So like, there's a trick that I learned from makeup tutorials where you put your pinky on your cheekbone and it steadies your hand. But if you do that, then you smudge up your makeup. So genuinely, the trick I've discovered, girls, put your pinky up your nose and make sure you wash your hands. But like, you just get so. You get like it just steadies it, right? You just like that, and then you draw it on. So I did I drew eyeliner. I'll show you. So you can see the eyeliner on the lid. So I put it like quite thick because it's an even look. It's quite dramatic. Oh yeah, I know it looks good because there's a secret, right? And then to get the wings on either side, I cheated. I'll show you. If you get yourself one of these. It's like a double-ended. It's a Darth Maul eyeliner. You get one end for drawing. That's pretty much dried up. It's useless. But you also get one end. You see that? It's like, if it's gonna focus, it's like shaped like a cat eye. So you literally just stamp it on, and then you go over it and you make it better. But it just gives like a nice, it just gives you like a nice guide, you know. So at that point the eyeliner is looking quite ragged, because I'm not very steady. So what I did was I took a very, very thin end eyeshadow brush. One of these, right? Very, very thin, very tiny. Very thin, very tiny, folks. Very tiny makeup brushes. So I took that and I took like a black, I took black eyeshadow and I just like set the eyeliner in black eyeshadow. And not only does that set it, but it also, it like blends the edges of it so it doesn't look quite so ragged. If your liquid eyeliner is a bit like, wow, well, it doesn't look like it's hugely corrected, but it just sets it a little bit. And I didn't in this one. I did that for something else when I like, you can put it like halfway under your eye as well. So it just sets it and just makes it look a little neater and gives you something that it's it gives you something to like blend. What else? Oh yeah, and then mascara. Again, I've got like dirt cheap stuff. It's Rimmel Extra 3D Lash, top and bottom. Just slap it on very, very carefully. Slap it on carefully. And then it was time for eyebrows. So ahead of time, I plucked my eyebrows. You can tell. I actually quite like them like this. Because for so long, I looked at girls and I was like, how do you do eyeshadow? Like, how do you have the space? My eyebrows are like down here. But then I realized it's because they pluck their eyebrows. So once you pluck your eyebrows, you end up with like a solid 1.5 inches of real estate here. It's free real estate. It's free real estate. And you can do like, I've seen girls who have like 3 or 4 different colors in there. I'm like, how big are your eyes? But I was like, oh, you just pluck your eyebrows. It's great. And then you can put in whatever you want. So I plucked my eyebrows ahead of time. Really hurts. Don't do it. The sacrifices we make for beauty. What did I do with them? Oh yeah, I took... So first of all, you're going to want to like clean all the makeup out of your eyebrows because it like builds up with foundation and shit. So just give them a clean out with a brush or just end of a finger and carefully. And then this music's a bit churchy, isn't it? Yeah, chill vibes. And then I used my brow pencil. Always make sure that it's sharp. And I drew in, or kind of supplemented my, there we go. I kind of extended my brows. If you want to know how long to make them, or how far in to pluck them, you put the pencil on the inside of your nose, straight up, so you know that's where it starts. And then you line it up with the outside of your eye, and you know that's where it ends, right? So I just extended it. You do like little strokes, not big lines, just little strokes, and you extend it out. And then the eyebrow. That was the eyebrows. What else? Oh, and then the lips. So I didn't have a lip liner at the time. So I knew I wanted quite like an orangey lipstick. So this isn't the same lipstick that I used when I did the Your Mum character for Queer. This, I wanted something a bit more like vibrant and sort of reddy orangey. So, where is... That's not right. Oh, here it is. So here's the lipstick that I used. Here it is. Boom. Nice and red, nice and bright. So we always put lip balm on first. And so I would have liked to have something a little shinier. I haven't yet mastered lip gloss. So it would have been nice to have something shinier and also to get a lip liner. But because I didn't have a lip liner, I actually I used a brush. I used a tiny brush and like painted it and like painted the outline of my lips with a tiny brush, which you can do. It's cheating, but it's fine. So yeah, I painted them on basically and just like used the lipstick and then Ooh, and then dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. And there you go. Also straighten my hair beforehand. There's hardly any makeup on my forehead because it's covered by the hat. Then just to top it off, I used a big fluffy brush. I should have done a lot more of this because I got very shiny towards the end. Because I have quite oily skin. If you put makeup onto man skin, then it just gets quite oily and it doesn't quite sit right. If you've got like a beautiful glowing estrogen skin, then your makeup just whoom and beautiful. But you gotta work with what you got. What was next? I have some. I'm always losing my shine powder. I'm always losing it. Oh no, here it is. So I got a big fluffy brush and I got some anti-shine powder, which just like this. And it's just transparent powder, and you just flum and you sweat and you flum and you flum and you flum like that. Just to stop you getting too shiny. You don't want to put too much pressure on, or you'll just wipe everything off. And last but not least, I had some French tip nails, which I'll try and find a good point to show you. Let me try and show you here. Maybe you can see them. Oh, there's one. You see that? It's quite blurry. I think I go, why would anyone spend all their time being angry about nothing? Oh well, I had French tip nails anyway. I got them. I got some. They were fun. They're kind of quite hard to work cameras and stuff with, so they had to go on last. Yeah, you can kind of see the thumb there. Oh yeah, here I'm holding my phone. You can see them there. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah. So I had French tip nails. Just glued them on with real shit tier glue. It came off. They came off the next morning. Yeah. Oh, of course, the nails are in the thumbnail. Literal thumbnail. Whoa! There we go. There it is. There you can see them. Yeah. I think that's everything. Oh, and last but not least, setting spray, Urban Decay setting spray. You go for a cross and an X, and you may God keep your mouth closed because it tastes terrible. And that is everything. That's the whole thing. That's how I did the makeup. Now we know. I think that's everything. Shouldn't be anything else, right? Let me know if I missed anything out, if you had any further questions. I had a letter. I had a letter in the PO box from Clarissa in Oklahoma. How many tries did it take to get the French tips right? I just glued them on. Is this supposed to be hard? Wow, it's made. So now you really know. Whoa. Oh, I've made the classic mistake. I promised myself last time that I wouldn't open any more letters live because we had a bad one last time. I hope this one isn't bad. I will read the whole thing first, silently, before I... Okay, it's not creepy, it's good. I won't read the whole thing because it's very long and gets personal in places. But Clarissa says, I've never written to a YouTuber before, let alone one I've only been subscribed to for about a week. First video I stumbled on upon of yours was sex work, and it all snowballed from there. Loved queer. And, yeah, the Cosmonaut ones. I won't read out some of the personal stuff here, Clarissa. But thank you for including a picture of your dog, who I will try and cover up the... Here's a happy dog. Here's a happy dog. Yay! Really enjoyed Beauty and Ugly Times. Kind of timely for the world that we're living in at the moment, yeah. Been driving around seeking out beautiful things. That's cool. But also trying to confront ugly things. Looking at abandoned buildings. Nice. Saw a vulture. Cool. And a dead fish. And ordered a copy of Arda to read. I hope you and your friends and family are well and have not been affected too much by the pandemic. Hope you continue to find beauty in ugly times. And thank you for making my quarantine entertaining, educational, and encouraging. Stay safe. Best regards, Clarissa. Thank you, Clarissa. Yeah, I think like Beauty and Ugly Times, I almost feel like that video hasn't had its moment yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, it almost feels like, I feel like I made it, but I'm still understanding why I made it. That's such a pretentious thing to say, but it's true. That's how I feel. I feel I'll come back to Beauty and Ugly Times in a long time and be like, oh, that's why I made it. Well, hey, I tell you what. We're into the last 2 songs. We're into the last 5 minutes. Perfect timing, everybody. So, if you've got any last minute questions, chuck them out. And then I'm going to go and play Breath of the Wild. That is good. Well, thanks for coming out and joining me for this one. This was a nice one. Here's a question. What do you as an actor in quarantine do to keep practicing and working on your craft? Says Gene Sargent. I've been doing voiceover work. I did an audiobook a while ago. I recorded my bits of Lindsay Ellis's audiobook, Axiom's End, available soon from all good bookstores. So I've been doing that, and I did a voiceover job today for a podcast that was quite nice. Like a fiction podcast. So, yeah. I've been just doing voiceover stuff. It really helps to, like, you know, keep voice training. Planning another video? Yeah, I am. Not quite sure what it's going to be about yet. I've got a kind of general area of inquiry. But I'm working on it. I've been working really, really hard today. Did a lot of research in the morning and then preparing for the live stream this afternoon. Do you ever contour when you try doing makeup? Says Kess Lugd. Yeah, I tried to. I've got a contouring palette, but I don't know if I need to like put more on or if it's something about my skin. But when I try and put highlight on, I need to like look up how to do it properly. When I try and put highlight on liquid foundation, it doesn't show up. It doesn't do anything. When I try and put highlight on top of powder foundation, it just gets really, really powdery. So I've got to practice a little bit with contouring. I'll get there. Is there another letter from last week? No, sorry. That's all. Oh, by the way, if you're a patron of mine and you're expecting a book or a card, the local post office is finally open from 9 to 12 on weekdays. So next week I will send them all out. to get them. Katie Roberts says, the new Mia Mulder, question mark? What happened to the old Mia Mulder? She was good. No, she's got a new video. I haven't seen it. It came out an hour before I started the stream, so I was like, an hour before the stream, I'm like putting on my makeup and getting ready and, rehearsing, so I haven't seen it, I'm afraid. No, I haven't seen any animations on the subreddit either, sorry. Thoughts on Natalie's cringe video? I honestly haven't seen it. I haven't put aside the time yet, I'm afraid. I know she worked very hard on it and that it meant a lot to her, but I haven't actually seen it. Cream contour? That could be fun. Maybe I should try that. Have you ever played The Witcher 3? No, it's downstairs, but I've never played it. It belongs to my flatmate. Kind of looked a little... I don't know. Looked to be almost my vibe, but not quite. I'm quite picky with my video games. Can I talk about the thumbnail for my video? What? It was just the nails. And I wanted to put anti-Semitism on it because when I did transphobia and analysis, it had the word in the thumbnail, so I just wanted a little bit of thematic continuity. Yeah, that's why. Have I played Doki Doki? No, but I've seen a Let's Play of it, so I know what happens. Where did I get the beret from? Internet. What kind of wine am I drinking? My favourite in the world. Was a birthday present from my parents. It is a Central Otago Pinot Noir called Two Paddocks. It's nice. It's quite light. Oh yeah, can I talk about the rose shot? Okay. Let me give me a second here to find the shot. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have to go for a little bit longer, but here's the shot. This is one of my favorite shots in the video. Let me take it back and I'll play it. It might be a little jumpy, but so that's my favorite shot in the video because I say anti-Semitism is a socialism of fools. And the rose is a symbol of socialism, right? And the painting in the background is actually a picture of Paris that coincidentally is like in the... It doesn't belong to any of us, it was already here. So like really worked well. So I don't know if you can tell from that little preview that I just showed you here because it's like coming through the streaming software, but if you go back and watch, there's a focus pull where the rose is in focus and then it shifts to Paris being in focus, but as the focus pull happens it also tilts and it goes into a Dutch angle, which is a sign of like psychological, like something being wrong. That's when they use Dutch angles in cinema, right? So anti-Semitism is a socialism of fools. As you lose focus on the symbol of socialism, the world comes into focus, but it goes out of whack. So like, layers. I was just really happy with that because it was that was actually the last thing that I shot for this video. I was looking at it in the editing software, and there needed to be some kind of some breathing room between the Mademoiselle E bits and the bedroom bit. So it just needed a couple of seconds of breathing room here. So I went down, I was like, what have I got? I've got this fake rose. And then I was like, oh, I've got this picture of Paris. Like, I must be able to do something here. And just kind of like found, like I did a few shots and then just found it. So, apparently people are saying it's a poster of Amsterdam that's sold at IKEA. Well, that doesn't surprise me. My landlords are cheap asses. But whatever. Let's pretend it's Paris. Also, it's black and white except for the bike, which is red, which is a kind of vibe that I was going for. Like only the red bits show up. So yeah, as the socialism loses focus, the world gets out of whack, and that's anti-Semitism, socialism are fools. It's almost like I make videos for my living. Hey. Why Paris? Because Mademoiselle E is French. That's why. What does the E stand for? It doesn't stand for anything, but I chose Mademoiselle E because it's like mystery. That was the main reason. Also, I suppose it's kind of funny if you like she's but like I have a Y chromosome, and like there's some stuff about that in there. There's some stuff about mystery in there. That was the main reason. I know that the French letter Y is actually Y. But whatever. I'm not bothered. I don't know. It just sounded good. It was kind of a Love Never Dies bit as well, because there's a Mr. Y in Love Never Dies. Yeah, that was it. Will we see Mademoiselle E again? I don't know. I have no idea. She could be a useful character, but I don't know. Anyway, time for me to go, I think. Gonna chill out for a bit and then go to bed. So thank you very much for coming along to the stream. Have a great night and take it easy.